Chapter 3, Facts About Mr. Johnson's Scheme. The following facts were given to the video store's merchant bank to help them with their investigation of Mr. Johnson and help them absolve the video store of any wrongdoing. The following 20 facts are true and verifiable. They are as follows. Fact number 1. Since Mr. Johnson worked at the flower shop and his bank was also in this complex, which was only a half a block from the video store, gave him credibility when he was hired by the video store. Fact number 2. Mr. Johnson knew everybody that worked in the complex where he worked, and that included his bank. From time to time, he would give the bank employees free flowers, free memberships, and free movies at the video store. Fact number 3. There is at least 1 or 2 employees at the bank who were involved in Mr. Johnson's scheme. He found out about the $10,000 rule from one of these bank employees, who told him that as long as he doesn't withdraw any more than $10,000, they won't have to fill out a currency transaction report. Fact number 4. One day in the video store, Mr. Johnson was overheard saying to one of his friends, "That's not what you know, it's who you know that counts." The video store has determined that Mr. Johnson was saying indirectly that someone at the bank helped him perpetrate his scheme. This comment was made right after he made a $10,000 cash withdrawal. Fact number 5. Mr. Johnson tried to get another person to be his partner in his scheme. This person refused and will testify against him if needed. This person was also Frank's friend, and this is the guy who helped me when Frank was serving his sentence at the prison camp. Fact number 6. Mr. Johnson destroyed evidence by having someone at his bank close his Mac Visa account. The video store has an audio tape of Mr. Johnson saying that he took out the rest of the embezzled money and had his bank account closed. Fact number 7. Mr. Johnson opened at least 2 checking accounts near his mother's home with the money that he embezzled from the video store. These accounts will probably tie in closely with the withdrawals that he made from his Mac Visa account. Fact number 8. Mr. Johnson also gave cash to his mother to hold for him in case he ever needed it. This could have been her share of the embezzlement scheme perpetrated by her son. Fact number 9. Remember, Mr. Johnson lived at home with his mother and didn't need much money to live on. Fact number 10. Mr. Johnson got engaged at the same time that he started working at the video store. Now he needed to make more money to pay mortgage payments on his new home that he was buying in the suburbs. Fact number 11. Mr. Johnson bragged about his mother letting him use her credit card and that he would pay her back. This didn't seem unusual, a mother letting her son use her credit card, but there was something that didn't make sense. They both have different last names, and he didn't use the plastic card when he made the fraudulent transactions. He was seen in the video store by customers punching in numbers on the point-of-sale terminal. This customer asked Mr. Johnson what he was doing. He said that he was programming the access device. Fact number 12. There seems to be a conspiracy brewing here. You have the mastermind, Mr. Johnson, his mother, and at least one employee from his bank helping him with the scheme. Fact number 13. Mr. Johnson forced the sales through on his mother's Visa account even though she didn't have enough available credit, resulting in the video store getting chargebacks for the bogus transactions. Fact number 14. Mr. Johnson kept forcing the sales through on his mother's Visa credit card account, and it didn't matter how much over the limit her card was. Fact number 15. Since the video store didn't know what Mr. Johnson was doing, it made it more difficult for the video store and the banks involved to detect. For example, 10 small amounts of $20 or less were normal sales for a small business, like the video store. Fact number 16. The fruition of the embezzlement scheme occurred when Mr. Johnson received classified information about Frank's pending incarceration. It was right after this that Mr. Johnson forced through amounts from $1,000 to $8,000, which is verified by the banks. Fact number 17. After Mr. Johnson transferred all the money that he intended to get from the video store's merchant account to his Mac Visa account, he withdrew the fraudulent funds via teller and Mac withdrawals, and also by personal checks. After Mr. Johnson did this, he boasted to Frank that he took $46,000 and described how he did this. He said that he didn't take this amount all at once, but he did take big amounts close together. Frank didn't believe him. The next day, he was still boasting to Frank about what he had done, but this time, Frank got his confession on videotape to further prove that Frank wasn't involved in Mr. Johnson's embezzlement scheme. Fact number 18. Mr. Johnson had easy access to the video store's point-of-sale terminal because he had keys and could come and go at will. During the video store's investigation, they noticed that some of the fraudulent transactions made by Mr. Johnson were on his days off. Fact number 19. Mr. Johnson could cause a very nice little business to go out of business because of the scheme that he perpetrated. The video store, any small business, couldn't survive if they had to pay the bank back for the money that Mr. Johnson stole. The video store worked on a small profit margin and had the experience to continue to be competitive. Fact number 20. Mr. Johnson needs to be stopped because as soon as the money runs out, he will probably strike again. When he was fired from the video store, he told one of his friends that he was looking for a job in one of the department stores downtown. Just think, if Mr. Johnson could get away with a scheme in a small business, just think of what he could do working for a big company.